How are you doing, everyone in YouTube land? Hey, what's poppin'? What's poppin'? It's your boy Teagle the Beagle back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Shit post. Today, we're doing a deck profile. Alright? And as a disclaimer, for anyone who regularly watches my channel, comedy skits will only be in shorts, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff will be on my main videos, because that's what I'm working on, alright? Alright. So, what deck are we running with today? Well, my brothers and sisters, we are running with DDD, Different Dimension Demon, Different Dimension Dick. You know what I'm saying? That dragon type penis, you know? But seriously though, we are rocking with DDDs, in my opinion, one of these most underrated archetypes of all time just because people refuse to read, yet people will play Endymion. Yeah, don't ask me how that fucking works. This archetype is probably one of the most complicated in the entire game when it first came out, at least, simply because to play it you needed a goddamn spreadsheet. However, now, with new support, and especially with Master Duel existing, it's become a lot easier to play this archetype. This archetype itself is also very cost efficient, not only in Master Duel, but IRL. Doesn't really cost that much, simply because no one plays this motherfucker. So this deck is very favorable, especially if you don't have a high budget or like high UR count. You know what I mean? A lot of this extra deck you can replace with other stuff, and I'll let you know as I go over the cards. Which right now I'm gonna go over the cards, but if you just wanna grab the deck, figure out yourself, cards will be in the description, so you can go ahead and grab it real quick. Now let me tell you the card by card. DD Necro Slime. This card allows us to fusion summon with monsters in our graveyard, including itself. Really good for fusion plays and getting this guy out, which is our kind of main strategy of this deck. DD Lamia. You can discard a card to destroy a face-up card you control to special summon her from the hand or grave. Really good. We need just one extra level for Siegfried. Swirl Slime is another one. This allows you to fusion summon with monsters in your hand, including itself, and you can banish it from the graveyard to special a DD from your hand. Really good for field presence. Nightwolf, when it's normal summon, special a DD from the grave. Its attack becomes 0, and if it's destroyed, you take 1,000 damage. But really, you don't really get that effect off. You mostly just play him because he's a level 3 tuner. And often you get a level 1 and level 4. You get a level 1 like Savant Kepler and a level 4 like Savant Copernicus on field. So your other tuner doesn't really work, so you need the level 3. There you go. DDD Supreme King Kaiser. This is the first complicated pick. I put him in here because at times when you're going second, when all you can do is put pendulum scales on board, you use them to bring out this guy from your hand, and it just, when it's pendulum summon, all face-up cards your opponent controls get their effects negated until the end of the turn. And you can target 2 spell trap cards you control, destroy them, and can attack 3 times. 3 times that turn. If you're able to, like, if they have a monster that's below 400, that's 400 attack or below, I don't know why they would, but if they do, that is an OTK. Next up we have Gameciel. This card can really be replaced with anything. I just prefer to run Kaijus because they're great with dealing with literally any boss monster, especially when current format shows that I spelled his fucking name wrong. Where is he? This motherfucker is broken. He's so goddamn good. Like, literally busted to all hell. You just can't fuck with this guy. Next up is Savant Kepler. When he's normal summoned, you can add a Dark Contract from deck to hand. This allows you to get your Searcher as well as your Fusion card, which is just really good for consistency in the deck. And really, you don't run him for any other reason. His Pendulum effect is literal garbage. But yeah, just run him to normal summon him. Or special summon it. It is on special summon as well. Forgot to mention that. Then DD Savant Copernicus on normal or special summon. He can Foolish Burial a DDD, which more than 1,000% will be Necro Slime, Lamia, or a copy of Swirl Slime to special summon a monster from your hand. But if you go into a combo where you bring out this guy, where you can special summon a monster from the grave, just dump something like this guy. Like, dump one of your big boys in there so he can be special summoned back, like this motherfucker. But, Yeah, his pendulum effect is... It's alright. It's alright. It does deal... does come up against, like, burn decks. Like, let's say a deck that runs... Fuck, okay, hold on. Let's say a deck runs like this piece of shit. Cauldron of the Old Man. This card is fucking so annoying. And this Savant Copernicus just fucks with it perfectly. And I love that. But really, you don't use that effect like ever. It comes up 1 in a million games. DD Orthos. This is one of the best main deck monsters, right besides Gryphon, and we'll get to him next. Fuck, I can't speak. Okay, we'll get to Gryphon next. But DD Orthos is the second best main deck monster that you have, because when you take battle damage from card or effect, this includes from the many effects that you have that'll make you take damage. You can special summon from your hand, and you can't special summon monsters. You see monsters for the rest of the turn, that's fine. But also in his pendulum, he can destroy a DD or Dark Contract you control, destroy a spell trap on the field. This deals with so much shit like skill drain, it deals with back row removal, it deals with all the shit you need. Also, when Mystic Mine was legal, this dealt with Mystic Mine, but we don't need to worry about that anymore, thank God. The Dark, I just played the Dark to deal with specific pendulum decks. Since he is a scale 1, I need an extra low scale, and also pendulum decks were popping up a lot. I run into a lot of like Metal Foes decks. Metal Foes have been extremely annoying, as well as just Pendulum Magician has been something that's been annoying, so I just run him to deal with those. As well as if he's destroyed by card effect, which I combo that with this guy sometimes. That used to be the main combo of this deck, was bring out this guy, destroy this. He could special summon a Pendulum monster from extra deck, face up from the extra deck, but its effects are negated. So basically, the combo was bring out this guy, get rid of your 2 scales, one of them being him. He summons back the other scale, usually being Savant Kepler, and he can go into plays from there. It has effects negated, so it doesn't get its special summon effect off, but it's still good. And also it has the effect that while it's a pendulum card, you can destroy a pendulum monster your opponent controls, as well as DD Arc. Doesn't really come up that often, but like I said, I run it because of those pendulum decks. We then run 3 DD Gryphon. Gryphon is the best main deck monster deck. If you control DD, you have special summon in defense position. If you pendulum summon, you can discard a DD or Dark Counter card, draw a card. And if you special summon in the graveyard, you can add DD from deck to hand. And to give you an idea, DDs summon from graveyard with this guy a bunch. You just do that. Usually you're getting Headhunt if you don't have it already in the hand, which to give you an idea, it's just a perma snatch steal, and if it's a monster special from the extra deck, it becomes a DDD monster, which will be relevant when we go over the extra deck. But yeah, just a fucking amazing card. His pendulum effect is really not useful. You could target a fiend monster you control against 500 attack for each Dark Contract you have, and then Gryphon destroys itself. Not really that helpful. This guy, you put in your scales off of this guy, which we'll get to later, and you really don't use his monster effect, but if you want to dump him with like Foolish and then bring him back, his monster effect is like, you can target DD monster and grave or special summon it when he's special summoned. So it's a monster reborn for only DDDs, not DDs, DDDs, and, excuse me, you contribute another DD monster to target your opponent controls. Banish it, target banishment, pretty good. Also, if you special summon while he's in a pendulum zone, you could target a DD in your graveyard, have the damage your opponent take, and then special summon that monster you targeted, and then take 1,000 damage, which taking damage is kind of relevant for some of the effects on this list, like Orthos, as well as King Tal's effect, if you want to try and get that off. DD Savant Thomas also can come up sometimes, not really a lot though. He's situational, but I threw him in at 1 because he's situationally useful. Basically you only use him for his pendulum effect. You can add a face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, and let's say it was one of your extra deck pendulums that's face-up, you can scale this and put that back in the extra deck, so you could summon it again, really useful. Foolish Barrel, for obvious reasons. Dark Contract with Patent License has 2 really good effects. if your opponent special summons a monster with the same card type, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link, as a DDD monster you control, you burn them for 1,000. And while this card's on the field, your opponent can special summon a monster of that type for this turn. So let's say they're playing Branded, right? Let's say they bring out, like, I'll be in the Branded Dragon, right? Where is he? There he is. Let's say they bring out this motherfucker, right? You have, like, a fusion face up on the field, right? You can activate this, burn your opponent for 1,000, they can't fusion summon, so they can't get this effect off, and they can't go into more plays. It's insane. Usually you don't have a fusion face up on your field, but when playing against Despias, and I've realized, oh shit, I'm playing against Despia, I always try and run this motherfucker into him. It's also, when it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, you can add a DD monster from your graveyard or a face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Again, allows you to recycle any DD Pendulum monster back into your extra deck. Very, 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 very cool. Only one run of it, because it can be bricky to get with nothing else. Contract with the Gate is just search a DD monster and take 1,000 during each standby phase. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Searching out any DDD... searching out any DD makes it so that any bricky hand turns into a playable hand. This allows you to fusion summon using monsters from your hand, field, and graveyard. Really good for proccing off effects. DD Headhunt, I already explained it earlier, but basically Snatch Steal turns it into a DD if it's an extra deck monster. Dark Contract the Witch gives all your monsters 1,000 attack during your opponent's turn. You can discard a card, destroy a card. And this I have to explain, because if you control DD monster, you can negate all trap effects on the field. This is a deal with stuff like Skill Drain. There can only be one. Like, this deck fucking dies to those cards. And so this works. This also deals with Solemn. And it also deals with Infinite Imperm. So it's actually really good, surprisingly. Now for the extra deck, we play 2 DDD Flame King Gigas. We play this not only to bring out one of our Xyzs, our best Xyzs, which we'll get into later, but it's also to deal with just like combos. Basically, when a DD is summoned while it's on the field, you can special summon a DD monster from your graveyard. And also, if he's destroyed, you can add a Dark Contract card from graveyard to your hand, which is pretty goddamn good. So basically, you proc its effect off to special summon from the grave to bring back something used to summon, like DD the Abyss King Gilgamesh. Go into further combos. DDD Flame High King Genghis is alright. He has the same effect as special from graveyard, but also when a spell or trap effect is activated during your turn, you can negate that. Not the greatest negation, but let's say they hit Solemn while you've already summoned this guy, you can just say fuck that. Yeah. Next up is DDD Wave Oblivion King Caesar Ragnarok. Longest fucking name ever. And when an attack is declared involving it, target a DD or Dark Contract control return to the hand if you equip a face-up monster your opponent controls to this card, except battling monster, and he gains attack equal to the binding attack of original monsters equipped to it by this effect. This is situationally useful. I find this is like, it comes up one every, like, 200 games, but when it does come up, it's really helpful. We then play DDD Super Doom King Purple Armageddon. I play this solely because Numeron decks. The reason I play it is because not only can you target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and inflict damage equal to its original attack, half of its original attack. Not the reason I run it, but it can do that. But when it battles an opponent's monster, it can make that opponent's monster attack 0. In fact, not just when it battles, when any DD monster battles. And also, it's not once per turn, meaning no matter how many times their Numeron's attack, you're still good. So it's just extremely good against those decks. You then play 1 Curse King Siegfried. You can target a spell trap card in the field. That target has effects negated. Fuck, I love hitting this against, like, any deck that relies on, like, a field spell, or they're using a battle trap. Not the reason you play it, but it is really helpful. Let's say their hand's dead, or, like, let's say they're using, like, Poly, or Despia Theater of the Branded. Target, effects, like, effects negated, you can't do shit with it, it's amazing. It's amazing. Next up we play Wave King Caesar. You literally just run him so that you can go into Marksman King Tell, which can overlay on top of a rank 4 DDD XC monster. And also King Tell could target a monster, reduce its attack by 1,000, inflict 1,000 to your opponent, and if he's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can get a DD or Dark Contract. Usually, sometimes you send him away with your Link monster to get a Dark Contract into the grave, which is this, which allows you to get a DD back to your hand. That's a cool combo. A lot of people play it. I personally don't. Now, this is the card you summon off your 2 Flame King Gigas. This is DDD Wave King High Caesar. Wave King High Caesar is a non-once per turn negation for cards that would special summon anything. Spell trap monster. If they special summon, just know you detach material, quick effect negated, and you can give this card and another DD monster you control 1,800 attack. Next up, we have Dudon King Kali Yuga. This is where these 2 level 8s come in handy. They can bring out this guy or this guy, which we'll get into later. This is 2 level 8 DD monsters, and after you summon first turn, other cards and their effects cannot be activated on the field, and other cards' effects in the field are negated. Nuke the fucking board when he comes out, basically. And what's per turn, you can detach material from this card, destroy all spell traps on the field. You can detach material from this card, target a Dark Contract spell trap in your graveyard, set that target. Insanely powerful. Basically, you detach destroy spell traps, and then you set a spell trap from your grave. Usually this, but sometimes this. And then you can activate it. So, absolutely insane. Next up is DDD Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. 2 level DDD monsters. It cannot be pendulum summoned. And when he's XC summoned, you can attach a face-up DD pendulum monster for your extra deck to this card as material. And pendulum monster control cannot be destroyed by card effects. And you can attach a material from him. Target your card your opponent controls equal to the number of pendulum monsters you control. Destroy them. And if he's in the monster zone, you can place this card in your pendulum zone. Which is crazy. His pendulum effect is alright. If you have a card in your other pendulum zone, you can special some DDD monster from your extra deck, which is just fucking amazing. So use him mainly for this effect, but this effect right here is also pretty good. Next up we have DDD Divisor King Deus Machinex, which requires 2 level 10 fiends. But you usually just XC summon him on top of any DDD monster you control, and he has a non-once per turn. You can destroy. Basically, when your opponent's monster activates an effect, this is not once per turn. You can either destroy a Dark Contract card you have on the field, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 options. Oh, 5. Sorry, 5. Or detach 2 materials from him, and then attach that monster's material. You don't negate its effect, but you get it as a material. Also, during the standby phase, you can put him in the pendulum zone. If you have a card in your other pendulum, if you have a card in your other pendulum and target a pendulum monster you control, or in your graveyard, special summon the card in your other pendulum zone. And if you do, place that target pendulum monster in your pendulum zone, which is crazy powerful in combos. And finally, these 3 motherfuckers, the DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh. This is the best extra deck monster I've ever seen for support for an archetype. When you special summon, this is not just link summon, this also means if you special summon from the graveyard, this is once per turn, hard once per turn. You can activate his effect to special. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except DDs, but then place 2 DD pendulum monsters with different names from your deck in your pendulum zones and take 1,000 damage, which procs off your other effects that make it so if you take damage, you can do a thing, like this motherfucker. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Also, if he's destroyed by your opponent's cards, you just special summon a DD monster from your extra deck or graveyard in defense position for free. I normally see myself summoning this motherfucker with it. However, I also see sometimes by summoning this guy. Though, if I have a pendulum monster face up, I summon this motherfucker. Yep. This card is XC summoned. It's not crazy, but it's still absolutely insane for like a Link monster. Link 2, boom, all your plays are initiated. This deck's absolutely insane. Its combo potential is nigh unmatched besides stuff like branded Frightfur, like branded Despia or whatever. Get the idea. Let's go ahead and hop into some replays so you can see how this deck operates. And we're back. That was DDDs, ladies and gentlemen. Now I want to go over my pros and cons for the deck. Pros. All of its extract monsters are extremely, extremely good. From stopping your opponent from playing to intense amount of can I fucking speak? An extension. Okay. Intense amount of extension. You know, just all does shit. Alright? Hell, they've even got board breakers in here. Motherfucking board breakers. Like, you can't fuck with this deck's extra deck monsters. As well as their main deck monsters are insanely good at getting those out. That's another thing. This deck's extremely consistent. There are rare times where you get a non-playable hand, unless you get like 3 Swirl Slime in hand, and that hasn't happened to me yet. But it definitely is possible. 3 Swirl Slime, like, even then, you can do a fusion, then you could special something from hand. The most unplayable hand would be DD, like this. I was going to say the most unplayable, but this literally, no matter what, you'll have something to play. So, you can't brick. Alright? You can't brick. Let's get that straight. One of the cons I have for this deck, though, is its inability to play around a lot of negates. Going second is hard for this deck, or going up against Max C is hard for this deck, simply because once your opponent draws out their negates, if they have 2 or more, your deck is pretty screwed. It can still set up a board, it just won't be very powerful. However, going first, even if your opponent does have imperm, you have ways of getting rid of it. But going first, more than likely, you will have at least this motherfucker and this motherfucker set up, and maybe even this motherfucker has a bonus. You know, maybe this motherfucker on field, you know. There's a lot of shit you can do with this deck. I love experimenting with DDs. I've already stated before, I once made an OTK variant with this guy as its center, and was just, it was amazing. And, like, there are plenty of techs, like, this is basically a pure DD deck, but you don't have, there are plenty of cards outside of this, like, okay, let's think about, like, hold on. There's some Dark World cards you could run. I'm not saying, like, the main deck monsters, but stuff like this. Charge it to the Dark World allows you to bring back a monster from your grave, and then discard a Fiend monster. Putting a Fiend monster in your grave and bringing something back out. Like, seems pretty good. This card for your discard effects. This card, if you want to, like, comboing these together, I don't know how that would actually help you, but you know, I encourage you to experiment with these guys, because they have so much to offer to both dark based decks and towards fiend based strategies and pendulum based strategies. I cannot wait to see what people do with this deck now that it's become extremely powerful in Master Duel with the most recent release of this guy. With that, I shall leave you, ladies and gentlemen. Please have a wonderful, wonderful day, and a Happy New Year, by the way. Peace.
Winzip, I love you so much.
I am a registered sex offender. I stuck my dick into a blender. Your mom is a transgender. I am a professional nude sender. You know that I be dominating. My cock and balls are rotating. Ice on my wrist, I could go skating. Between thick thighs, I'm suffocating. I have a huge fucking cock. I